Welcome to the MadTrio podcast. This week we have the California Pariah, Jonathan Charney, James, the Fat Man Stevens.
Hello.
Rob, the old guy.
From the world's famous Rob Charney Show.
And holy crap, Ryan Preston is live via Facebook or something. He's on. Oh my God. And he's dying.
Okay.
That was a California greeting.
Oh, yeah.
Get it?
So we're just going to, because potentially something that'll change the course of history, I want to talk about...
If you're listening to this in a nuclear apocalypse.
Exactly.
Yeah. Or Ukraine.
So we're going to talk about the Soviet Union, or Russia as they're now known, attacking Ukraine and being in Kiev, however you want to say it.
Kiev.
Russia, as it's now known since the early 1980s.
Well, in Ukraine, we're talking about not Russia. We're talking about Ukraine. We're talking about Kiev, which is Kiev.
So Russia pronounces it Kiev, and apparently because of that, Ukrainians pronounce it Kiev.
Kiev, yeah.
So a couple of things.
Okay, so it wasn't just me who always heard Kiev, right?
Right.
Yeah, I always heard.
Okay, just making sure, like, fuck, have I been mispronouncing this the whole time because I'm dumb? I could have swore I heard Kiev.
Well, that's the
name.
That's the home country of my grandmother, and she always pronounced it Kiev. So it obviously changed between then and now, which was 40-some years ago. Okay,
You kidding? It changed overnight. Last week they were saying it Kiev, and all of a sudden I would hear Kiev.
Kiev.
And I get the instinct of, wait, Russia does what? Okay, we're going to do it different. Fuck that.
That's right.
I get it.
So I want to lay the groundwork a little bit for, I mean, most people who have listened to this podcast understand what's happening, but I heard some things today I wanted to talk about. NATO has declared today that any cyber hacking done to a NATO country automatically triggers Article 5, which Article 5 means that all other member nations will come and protect said member nations.
Yeah.
The other one is Putin has actually said at least once, maybe twice, about activating their nuclear forces, which, from what I've heard and a little bit of research, is one of the few times a nuclear country has said so openly. Apparently, the United States has done it before, but has never done it so open to the public that we'd say the United States is preparing the nuclear football. It's always been suggested over some back channels, etc.
I think the particular language of it, and now look, we're talking, we might be splitting hairs here. He might say this and people automatically translate what this means, but the actual language was God damn it, what was it? His nuclear response team, like, hey, we're just letting you know that we got the nuclear defense people kind of thing. Like, hey, we're not going to do this unless you make us, is kind of what I got from it.
I'm reading it two ways. And so I've heard that, but I'm also to me, reading in between the lines is that's also saying, well,
that's right. That's what I'm kind of trying to do the math on.
Look, we are willing to go nuclear. I know.
Right.
One of my favorite radio shows today had a gentleman by Ian Bremmer, Mike Lyons. He's a military expert. He writes articles and stuff about it. Was saying that was it him or somebody's basically saying there's a rumor that by declaring nuclear, they may even launch a small, low yield nuclear weapon in Siberia type of thing. And so some of this has gone pretty far, but on the other hand, the comparisons to, was it Wilt Chamberlain or whatever in World War II, some of this is becoming awful comparison-y. If you actually kind of read between the languages, because Germany has declared that they're going to sell weapons, and any people they sell weapons to are allowed to sell weapons to Ukraine or give them, which is the first time in a long time. Trump couldn't get Germany to do that. So there's a lot of interesting stuff. The president, the comedic actor president, has been getting a lot of praises worldwide because our commander in chief basically told him to get out of Dodge, and he more or less said, "Give me guns, give me ammo. I'm staying." He said on a report.
Yeah, that's a flex right there, man. All the props go to that guy. Look, whether it's posturing for your people or not, the placebo works on me. You know what I mean? Like the fact that he's even willing to go out there and say that, like, I don't need a ride, I need guns.
And here's
like, bro, props, man.
And here's a reason why I think this could be World War III or not. There's a couple of things that are just really weird about this. They actually asked Elon Musk to help. Elon Musk put out a tweet that said Starlink is now activated in your country. I don't know how they're going to get the units to it, but
they're already there.
Oh wow!
He shipped them. They're already there.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
There's that, and there is a.
I've only been signed up for almost 2 years now and can't get mine. But hey, let's just start a war, and all of a sudden you can get Starlink.
So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
you've just been going about it the wrong way, right?
I must be. I'm gonna have to declare war on my neighbor.
So our repository of a lot of stories that we do on this podcast is in a Facebook page called Interesting SHT. And there's a brewery, I think, called Double Tap, or it's a brewery based in Lviv, Ukraine, has suspended its beer brewing operation, is now making Molotov cocktails for residents against the invading Russians. There's actually Ukrainians who live all over Europe coming back to the Ukraine to fight. I mean, this is the most unique. This is the first time in my lifetime that I can remember.
One of the largest Google lookups for Eastern Europe has been how to make a Molotov cocktail.
Isn't it fine bottle, insert alcohol?
Yeah. What's that?
That's what, okay. Yeah. I'm just saying, if somebody in their mind has even glanced passingly at a Molotov cocktail in a movie,
yeah,
and you don't immediately know how to make that,
well,
like, okay, man, have some critical thinking. Like, I appreciate you taking the time to look it up, but like, man, come on.
So there are ways of making them more potent and less gasoline.
I've got a particular recipe for you.
less gasoline.
A little bit of gasoline.
Yeah.
And that pink granulated soap you used to get in school.
So I'm assuming this is where
nitrate. I mean,
this is where
you want something stable, though. Gasoline's good and stable.
This is where the Anarchy Cookbook is all of a sudden coming in handy 30 years after it was published online. There's somebody trying to find all the styrofoam that he can find.
Yeah.
No kidding. Yeah.
I mean, because this is the first time in my lifetime that I can directly remember another country taking over another country. And I heard somebody say something
attempting
to take it over. And their comment was, well, the United States has done it a few times. And they're talking about, the Afghanistan and Iraq. And I would say that's different because the United States wasn't trying to...
We didn't really try to take it over.
Warfare.
That was
This is modern warfare, though. This is the stuff they used to make movies about in the 90s. We've never seen this before.
Well, we've never seen...
the first Gulf War doesn't fucking count.
Well,
we bombed the shit out of Baghdad and we sent a bunch of tanks in against people who didn't have any of those things. Maybe a little bit of Saddam's, army with a couple of jets here or there.
You're misremembering your history a tad bit there when it came to their... They had a pretty decent military. Ours was just better.
I mean, but we're talking, it's kind of apples and oranges. Yeah, they had a couple of toys to play with, but it wasn't Russia. Now, even Russia, you talk to most service members in America, and they're going to tell you, like, yeah, we're not really worried about Russia.
Well,
it's even that, it's a different level.
United States is a different level. Let's be legitimate. We spend more on military spending than 99.5% of the world combined. We have... We spend a lot in
no,
in
for
military.
sure, more than like the next 10 countries combined. Yeah, it's a crazy number. And you know what? I feel pretty damn safe because of it. So I'm not exactly, I don't have my feelings hurt. Taxes suck, but I'm very much the don't sacrifice, your freedom for the illusion of safety, and I'm aware of all of that and the pitfalls, etc. But that being said, I like toys. I like knowing that our border defense is just unbreakable.
And you know what? The coup de grace on all of this Russian force taking over, trying to take over Ukraine and all the response to it, Pornhub said, sorry, Russia, No porn for you.
No.
No.
Which I thought was
shitting me.
No, so what I heard, and I don't know how I would prove this. Apparently, what happened is,
Well, they're Canadian, dude. I wouldn't put it past that company to be like, you know what, fuck Russia right now.
so apparently what happened, if you go to the Russian version or the Russian version of Pornhub, I don't know exactly how that end up works, but you go to it and it says, you like long live Ukraine type of thing, or hashtag, and there's your Ukrainian flag, which I have to admit,
that's funny.
Which I have to admit is hilarious.
I like that.
But
There's going to be a coup in Russia.
Yeah.
on
They
top
go,
of,
hey, you can do anything you want. Just don't take away our porn.
on top
Putin's
of
being
that,
delivered an ultimatum as we speak. Like, listen, man, you are playing with powers that you don't fully understand.
That's great.
And on top of that, the Russian economy is crashing. The ruble is worth like a cent compared to the U.S. dollar. They're collapsing. Apparently, according to
a lot of protests going on over it too. Not even just the money. Like a lot of anti-war shit started even before all those sanctions hit. But now all the regular people are starting to feel that pressure via, outside banks, and they're pissed.
And one of the reasons why I'm thinking this may potentially be World War III, besides a nuclear threat, is apparently the Russians themselves. The report I heard earlier was saying a lot of the Russians are saying, "Oh, it's the new Iron Curtain."
Well,
And
look, the only way I see. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Like,
No, it's just it's really hard to see. Is this a flash in the pan, or this is more? Because you have China involved, and China's backing them. So, and China is totally anti-West. So you have all this stuff that this could be nothing. This could just be politically posturing.
But I feel like, and I was talking to a friend of mine about this the other day, because he called me. He's got a new baby, and he's not panicking or anything like that. But he's just like, man, this is weird, man. This is a weird one. I don't know how to feel about this. And I'm just like, look, for one, hey, if at the worst or best, we just got more in common with our parents who lived with the threat of nuclear war before we were born and whatnot. So now we're just like, hey, solidarity, guys.
The old guy can talk about that,
right? That's what I'm
welcome
saying,
to my world. Yeah.
Right. Like, goddamn, you kids before you were born.
Yeah. You don't understand what we went through.
Well, fuck, we're parity.
Duck and cover, man.
Possible nuclear winter,
Right, exactly.
and there was a pandemic. So now we're parity with the 1960s.
There you go.
Yeah, man. So we're right there with you guys. We've had some trials. But,
so all we need is bras
like
burning.
A nuclear war,
Yeah.
The way I feel like a nuclear war would happen on behalf of on the Russians, because obviously they'd have to fire first, right? I don't think there's
let's hope.
Let's hope, but I don't think there's anybody crazy enough on our side to pull that trigger as opposed to just a response. But I don't think that he does it unless he feels like he's being cornered. Unless Putin feels like you put somebody in a place where if I'm going down, I'm going to take you with me kind of mentality. That's where I see it going sideways. But if he feels like he can just, look, we're giving you all the room in the world to retreat. There's only people in front of you, man. No one's behind you stopping you from going home.
So I want to,
and we'll talk about this shit later. Go to your room. We'll talk about this in the morning.
I want to run something by you. Who to you would make a worse wartime president? Biden?
Are we really going to go there?
Or Trump?
Carter.
Because I was thinking about this.
The actor? No, wait, that was Reagan.
Because I was thinking about this. Biden, I don't think would make a good wartime president, because let's be honest, he's older and he's obviously having issues. Not making fun, just what I see, and having an aunt who had Alzheimer's, and being friends with a lot of people who were older. And then Trump, who was, let's be honest, he'd nuke Siberia just for the half of it. It's like, I don't like this. Let's move it out of the way. I'm joking. So I don't know. I just
and look, I get about the Biden thing, and yeah, he's old, and these things and whatnot. I have to take that with a bit of a narrative grain of salt.
Of course,
depending on who's talking about it, and look, I know people a lot of the times are just being kind of flippant about it, and
it's tongue in cheek,
and it's very tongue in cheek. That's what I'm going for. Thank you. I get it, but at the same time, I understand the point. The overall point they're trying to make, and I get the other side's point about Trump. Also, kind of what you're saying. I think Biden, only because he's a little more dyed-in-the-wool politician, and there's one thing that our country does good is this specific kind of warfare. Actually, there's a podcast called Hardcore History with a guy named Dan Carlin, who's more of like a history buff, history major in college, university, and just not a paid historian, but does an amazing podcast on all kinds of history. And he's also was like an ex-political news reporter who I can't believe how unbiased and just kind of fair-minded this guy can be when he's talking about anything. Very much the old school, like, look, here's the both sides of the argument, and this is why both of them make sense, and that's why this is a complicated choice to make, you know. But in any case, he had an interview with Max Brooks, Mel Brooks' son, who wrote World War Z. I think he didn't have much to do with the movie, if people are still upset about that one.
Wasn't he the director of Springtime for Hitler? Or no, Nazis on Ice.
That was the guy, yeah.
Okay.
But in any case, I didn't realize that Max Brooks had become a senior fellow, and I can't remember exactly where, as a war historian.
Really?
Like, this dude knows his shit.
Good
like,
for him.
he is a legit war historian and is like a senior fellow at some particular war think tank and whatnot. And he has this great interview with Dan Carlin about asymmetrical warfare, about how, you know, like, we didn't learn much from the tactics of Vietnam and that kind of guerrilla warfare to really be able to utilize those sorts of new skills in something like Iraq and Afghanistan. And that's where we had logistical troubles and, you know, things like that, is we're just not geared to fight that kind of war. But he goes on to, you know, very well explain, better than me, how this type of warfare, and it's fucking prescient how he brought this up right before all this happened, but how this kind of warfare is really what we do. Like, this is our bread and butter. So, you know, like you're saying, you know, we're so far ahead of the game with everybody else. But yeah, I know, if anybody's interested, go look up the interview with Max Brooks and Dan Carlin. It was a real interesting insight into where our kind of money goes and what that is valued towards in a warfare situation. And I think the Biden, God damn, I'm making such a long ass point.
Well, you are. Will you get to it? I mean, you know, this show's almost over.
But
It's
you were
been
making
nice.
a point.
Yeah, apparently.
I thought you were just talking.
Here's what's fucked up, man. I just remembered I was making a point. That's how long-winded that was.
Well, so
Long story short, I think Biden would listen to his generals more. Done.
So I think since the old guy is the old guy, hence the reason why he has that nickname. He has the floor. If you're comparing it to,
Well, he paid for the floor that you're
That's
sitting
right.
on.
this is true.
Yeah.
But still,
So-
I'm
And the
in
mic he's
charge.
talking through, and the board he's
I'm in charge,
recording
damn
this
it.
through, and everything else that's going on
we
here.
paid for some of this.
Oh, yeah.
Let's be honest here. So, since you've lived through many years and ages and millennia of warfare and potential of possibly being, you know, another war, what do you think? I mean, what is this flavored to you?
I don't know.
So you don't.
Yeah. Okay. I've got a on the heels of that question. Like, does this feel familiar in any kind of way?
Well, I mean, the closest thing that was really germane to me as far as the point goes is more Vietnam type thing, because it's like you're going. It's like, oh, okay.
The evil bingo game.
It was, but so Europe having all the problems that they've had forever to a degree. I mean, from the fall of the Soviet Union, you know, and that whole issue, and then the next 20 years where everybody was kumbaya and loving each other. It was just, many of us had talked about way back then where it's just a matter of time before they try to get the band back together. And so, you know, it's disappointing that that we couldn't in some way influence Putin to maybe not move forward with his plans. I think it's a little disappointing in the Russian people not being able to have influence over who they have elected to power or not elected, who's actually taken over power in that country. It's too bad that things couldn't come back around to a control of the people a little bit more. I find it's going to be interesting. To me, I think it's going to be interesting to see how well the sanctions work with the people of Russia, because it's going to be affecting their pocketbooks. And how long do they stand aside and not say anything, not do anything when they're starving, they're hungry, and they can't put fuel in what little cars they bought?
That's why China's there.
Well, no.
And you probably have enough people in the country who remember what that shit was like the last time.
So you want to hear something interesting? You talk about that.
So that's my opinion.
So I talked to a lady who grew up in Soviet Russia. And I was talking to her because I asked her what she thought about Putin, and she ignored it. But she said, the problem with Americans is they don't, basically you don't feel blessed about anything. You go to the store and there's tons of food there. Said, when I was a little girl, you'd wait in line for hours for bread. You'd be so happy. And she was talking about that people would be excited about getting, going to get guy groceries and buying this and buying that. It was like, that blew my mind. It's like you miss that? You miss waiting in line for hours to hopefully buy food? Not getting food, but hoping to get some? And so
it's a famine mentality, you know what I mean? It's, I'm hiding all my money in a mattress and I'm gonna save canned food just in case, because any minute the shoe's gonna drop.
I mean, that goes back to my grandmother reusing coffee filters because, she was maybe afraid she couldn't get more. And it just, that blew my mind, just that fact.
But it also, sorry.
I was going to bring up the thing of Rob saying, that we're putting all these sanctions on Russia and everything. And then we have Americans who are now trying to stop, in protest, throwing out their vodkas. Now, the idiotic thing about that is just about 1% of all of the vodka that is consumed in the United States comes from Russia. Or does not come from Russia. So that 1% is all that comes from Russia. So when we're throwing out Smirnoff, that comes from Idaho. I think it's Idaho or Iowa. It's one of those ice states. And then, so, just the idiocy of that. And the other thing I want to point out, even if you do find one of those 1% bottles of vodka, it's already been goddamn paid for. If you want to hurt the Russian economy, go to Russia and blow up their vodka producing plant.
See, this is right here is a potential,
because it's already been bought and paid for by the time it's here, you idiots.
So ladies and gentlemen, if you're really looking for top quality vodka, I highly suggest Tahoe
James
Blue.
is our food critic.
I highly suggest Tahoe Blue vodka. It's local to our area. Tahoe Blue vodka, absolutely amazing. And by the way, the lovely, amazing folks at Tahoe Blue vodka, I would gladly accept this free spot for
Since
a couple
we couldn't
bottles.
get dude wipes, maybe we can get Blue Tahoe, right?
Yes, I would
Tahoe
totally
Blue,
take
get the name right.
Oh, Tahoe Blue.
Tahoe Blue.
Excuse me.
I would
But they're not
totally.
paying us yet. I can screw the name up.
I would totally take a couple of bottles of vodka for me constantly mentioning how they were my favorite vodka choice. That's Tahoe Blue, TahoeBlue.com.
I still have yet to try them. They came out. They became a more of a business after I stopped drinking so much vodka or any of the alcohol. So I haven't tried them yet, but I've heard good things about them.
They're actually really good. And I'm not a vodka guy, but it's pretty good. I like them.
I've got two things on the subject of vodka. One, I don't even care if it's Russian. Tito's is the best. I have not had Tahoe Blue. Apparently, I need to try.
Yeah.
But also, just the more you know. A martini is made with gin. I'm just saying.
There are vodka martinis.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they suck ass. It's
Yeah,
pure fucking gasoline. It's made with gin
I would
and some dry vermouth. I know people hate it.
And capers.
That's a martini.
I would rather drink a vodka gimlet over a martini any day.
Dirty martinis are pretty good because they mostly taste like olives.
No, but a good gin martini.
It's like drinking a fucking Christmas tree. That's what it tastes like.
No, you gotta like it. I mean, in my early days, gin was my thing too. But it's
no man.
I've got a bottle of gin I'm gonna die with, along with that bottle that green.
Yeah, but I stopped drinking over 20 years ago too. So look at it that way.
And to be fair, I drink like twice a year, and usually one of those is me getting peer pressured by my dad.
There you go.
Your dad's an enabler.
How can my dad peer pressure me when we're not the same age? Because he turns into a fucking teenager when he drinks tequila.
That's hilarious.
Oh God! I bet he's annoying as shit as a teenager.
Was he like Ryan at all? I would agree. I
was adorably obnoxious.
Yeah. Okay. Keep saying that. I don't know.
I'll give him that. I mean, I did get him to snort a line of salt.
Oh, jeez.
It was pepper. And
it was pepper, wasn't it? It was pepper.
So we go.
Don't try that at home. It's a really terrible idea.
So we go from the potential ending of the world, destroying the planet, a movie we reviewed from Real Flicks Reviews, potentially coming true, to the greatest show on earth, making a comeback.
Did we review Red Dawn?
No. Ringling Brothers, Barnum and Bailey's Circus they're going to try to make a return, but without animals.
That was the only reason to go.
So I'm kind of
that's kind of what I was thinking.
So it's going to be like Circus D'Olay, but without animals. I'm actually cool with that because I loved the circus when I went as a kid, and I was incredibly bummed that it actually disappeared because it was something I wanted to take my kid to at some point in the future. So I do hope they make a comeback.
Look, I get that clowns and jugglers are in fact real people, despite what is obviously shouldn't be the case. They've got to work, and I respect that. And there's not a lot of opportunities, for these poor bastard clowns and jugglers to find work.
I mean, look what happened to Steve.
You can't play backyard gigs forever. Right, exactly. You know what I mean? It's like, man, I can either juggle or get kicked in the nuts for a living. State fair, here we come. You know what I mean? But yeah,
along with the band Cinderella,
He'll pay for that.
It's going to be a hard sell to bring back that circus.
It probably will. I mean, let's be honest.
But here's the thing: it's generation. It went out of favor like a whole generation ago. Like our parents didn't even go to the damn circus; their parents did.
I took John to the circus.
Yeah. So hold on. This is.
Hey, wait a minute. Back up there, buddy.
Yeah. Old guy's disagreeing with you because I went to Barnum and Bailey Circus in Arco Arena, which, by the way, was the first sponsored arena in the world history as far as I'm aware of. I saw it there as a kid.
I think Wrigley Field.
Yeah, could be.
Yeah, what gave you the idea it was the first sponsored?
Because when they were shutting down Arco Arena, that was all over the news. I never looked. I'm just taking the quote. It's like it was one of the first. It was the idea that bought into yada, yada, yada. I loved the circus as a kid. I thought it was a great experience.
Oh, no. People who go to the circus like the circus. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying like that was a
so what you're saying,
a generation and a half ago.
So what you're saying is the people who go to the circus, that's the thing the type of people would like.
Well, a lot of folks like my parents' age, it wasn't as much of a thing in the 60s and 70s that it was in the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s.
That's probably true, but there wasn't
where everybody
there wasn't television.
You couldn't, right? For sure, exactly.
Right. I mean, there was a lot of reasons for it.
To the circus when the circus came to town, and we didn't have that, so it's not like me, James, and apparently Johnny might have this thing where like, oh man, I can't wait till the circus comes to town so I can take my kid like my dad took me. You know what I mean?
Okay, so they're going to come back. That was your big news story.
Yeah, I got more.
I think James has got some too, didn't he?
Well, one more.
So, I was going to talk about this like right after it happened, but we had a bunch of stuff happen. And I think I got talked over a bunch when I tried to bring it up last time. I don't know who would have done that.
I have no idea.
If you just sped up and didn't drag your...
So you're
just taking forever.
In the category of interesting
What's
luck,
taking so long?
Did you guys hear about the 11-year-old boy who was magnet fishing and found 2 Barrett 50 calibers.
Yeah.
Like Barrett 50 cal rifle, like a whole ass rifle.
Yes.
Yeah, the news story has been going back and forth of if they really were the Barrett Light 50s, what really are they? And
yeah.
So, but $10,000 guns. Who the fuck is throwing that in a river?
Bad guys.
Well, the serial numbers were filed off according to the report. And so they're thinking it was probably used in a crime. But I think,
gotta be some cartel shit.
Yeah.
Now, hypothetically, if I found this, I would, because they were kept in shrink wrap. So there probably wasn't very much water damage, if any. And I think I would not be on the news about this. I think I would clean them up. And it said that he found, let me try to find out. I think it was the bundle put up at home. Trying to remember where he said that what parts he actually found. It didn't say that it was the whole gun. I remember that side of it.
Oh, now we're proofreading this thing.
Right now. Yeah.
Right now, in the middle of the show.
See, well James is finding.
I just had it.
Come on.
See,
and John's going off on something else because he can't stand to sit there and let anybody else. It was the lower receiver and the bolt carrier group. Mm-hmm. So that's enough of a rifle to be put back together. You just got to get the stock back on there. And, you could probably find that for cheap. But he found 2 of them like that. Mm. Now I'm trying to think, who was long distance shooting people? Because I hadn't heard any news of any, assassinations.
No.
That's why I'm thinking
they probably weren't necessarily used in a crime.
Well, but was it the lower receivers? That he found the lower receiver?
Yeah, the lower receiver.
And the bolt.
Lower receiver and bolt carrier.
So that's the serial number would have been on the lower receiver, but you're saying the serial numbers were filed off. So you have an illegal weapon anyway. So who knows? I would have made sure I turned him over as well.
And
we're honest with you.
And let's be honest. You would have heard if a Barrett Lightweight 50 was used in a crime because there'd be holes in it. They go through engine blocks.
That's what I'm saying. It would be something that you would have heard of if it was used in a crime.
It would have been on national news.
Oh, yeah.
Well, if they were saran wrapped or shrink wrapped or whatever, that implies to me somebody stacked them there and they're going to go back for them before the crime. But where in the world
good thought.
They were off of a bridge in Florida, like an overpass.
Cartel.
The C-102 Canal in Florida. Yeah. I have no idea where the hell it is. I was in Florida.
It had to be.
It had to be cartel.
Okay, so here I want to. This is a very quick Google search on Barrett store.barrett.net. Model 882A1 upper 50 BMG flat dark earth receiver 20-inch barrel. Guess how much the cost of this upper receiver is?
$4,000.
$5,069.
Jeez! Wow. See, now they said that there's 2 of them. I'm just wondering, maybe you could sell part of one and put the other one back together. I don't know.
How many people who can afford a Barrett Lightweight 50 of any version or variant? They've got to be like $20,000, $30,000 guns.
I want to say they're around 10 to 15.
Yeah, I think Ryan's probably right.
And heavier than hell.
But by the time he had an optic that could work with something like that, you're right there where John's at. So
yeah, no doubt.
I
couldn't believe how expensive optics are, man.
Optics are as much as a gun these days, and then you can't afford to feed the thing. You just
true.
For what it costs per round. So it's like. Ridiculous.
Yeah, aren't 50 cals they're not they're like $10 a round or something.
Yeah,
like
now
I think it works out.
Last time I looked, they were closer to $5 to $6 a round, but that was 10 years ago. Maybe.
So here is some Lake City 50 BMG ammo, 50 rounds of 660 grain, full metal jacket, M33 ammunition, $159. For 50 rounds.
So 50. So what? Oh, goddamn! I should have paid more attention in math class.
So it's 159 divided by 50. It's $3.18 a round.
Yeah, that's pretty cheap. So it's come down in price, not gone up.
I just still $159 for 50 rounds.
Yeah.
But on the other hand,
a box of 9mm almost cost you that.
Shit, last time I bought 357, it was like $70. It's like, wow.
I know. For a while, their ammo was ridiculous.
I did want to notice something that I think is interesting. Talk about the previous conversation about the war in Kyiv in Ukraine.
What is it good for?
Absolutely.
Yes, Anonymous. The hacker group Anonymous is going after Russia. I think there is the most interesting story of the war. Is when you have them, because there's been apparently hackers of worldwide who are starting to really screw with Russian infrastructure, like shutting down websites and stuff.
That's the thing, man. All of these things happening from every different angle. How the shit? And I make no claim on knowing the geopolitical, structures in place and egos and all of that stuff. But how the hell does Putin walk away from what he's done and not look like a total bitch?
Yeah, that's a good question.
That's the thing is, from what I heard this morning on the radio, I didn't actually look this up, but according to the Russian generals that he was listening to, they said that they would have this entire war over in 11 minutes. That they were going to have Ukraine, all of Ukraine subdued in 11 minutes.
Well, I think they just thought,
and we are in day what now?
Yeah. I think they just thought Ukraine was going to roll over and just play, okay, come on, you can have us. And it didn't happen, obviously.
You know what should have happened? Instead of rolling in the tanks, blowing a city up, what Russia should have done is bring a pack of Audacity, sit down the pack of cards, bring a couple of vodka, and throw a party. Let's figure out who gets the country via our amazing sponsor. Today's show is brought to you by Audacity. The game where dignity is overrated. Go to ODDASSITY.com. That's ODDASSITY.com. Pick up a card game from this website or selected stores. That's Audacity, the unforgettable party game for mischievous people. And that
was the most ham-fisted.
Wait, hold on.
Thank you, Ryan. I was going to comment, but you beat me to it.
Wait, hold on. Before you go and lambasting my segue, I do want to let y'all know, if you're interested in buying a card game from our sponsor, go to Audacity's website, use MadTrio, all caps, one word, for 10% off your final order. And don't forget, Audacity can stop wars.
Melanie might just, have some words with you over that one, John.
No, Melanie would say, heck yeah, throw in a card game, couple of vodka, you'd have some fun. You'd have a fun evening.
She's a mother now, so maybe she's...
Well, somebody's obviously going to watch the baby, so somebody would have to be watching Biden and this.
I'm just careful what I'm saying. Hey, one of the sad things about this Ukrainian situation, too, the Russians actually did destroy something that I really thought was pretty cool.
Was it the airplane?
Yeah, the Antonov AN-225. They went and destroyed the world's largest cargo airplane.
Wait, that was destroyed?
Yep.
What? When?
Yeah, during, I think, day 2 of their invasion, they went over there and destroyed it.
Wow.
I think they were mad that...
Bunch of dicks.
They were mad that Ukraine had that plane.
They couldn't take it.
Was stupid big.
So
no kidding. That's why it's the world's largest.
So hold on.
Like how?
So the world's largest cargo plane was reported destroyed in Ukraine from this insider article. The Antonov AN-225 was the world's largest cargo vessel. A plane armed with 6 engines and a massive cargo hold. Confirmed it was destruction of the Mammoth, firing a Russian attack. The beloved plane was a one-of-a-kind built by a Ukrainian aircraft manufacturer.
Yeah.
So far, it doesn't give I don't see a specific date.
Yeah, it's a real bummer.
Man, no kidding.
Yeah.
I mean, you could probably see it from the sky like a freaking landmark, though. You mean, you know what I mean? Like, just like, oh, man, I got to pick a target. Wow, there's one.
Probably.
Was it working, or is it like?
No, it was working. It was going all over the world, delivering cargo everywhere. Anything that was really super big. It was
okay.
It's a shame that it was still on the ground over there, that they couldn't have gotten out of there. But
because I was wondering if it was like the Spruce Goose, but no, this is an active.
No, this was an active
sucks.
aircraft. Yeah, so that's a bummer. Oh well. So Boeing's happy because they can produce some more C5 Galaxies now.
And everybody I know who works on planes is crying.
Yeah.
I've heard more.
Yeah,
I've heard a lot of aircraft mechanics talk about how crappy the C5 Galaxy is. It's like the old guy's comment of the Street Sweeper shotgun back in the day. So he said it was like shooting a Coke can.
Buddy of mine,
terrible.
Former Marine. Once Marine, I get it. Yeah, he's a Marine. He says that he fucking hated the Osprey.
Oh well, they finally got most of the bugs worked out about a year ago.
Yeah,
30 years after they started it.
Diciest thing in the world. They'd be like, "Oh, we're going to transport you on this." He's like, "Oh, please, no, come on, please, no. Why? Why are you doing this to me?" He said, "Apparently, I mean, like they had all kinds of problems. They'd crash, and just not a plane you want to be in if it's going down."
So is that when they start handing out the crayons to calm down the Marines? That's to a couple of friends of mine.
Oh, boy. Anyway.
Oh, did you know? I didn't know this was an actual thing until recently. There's actually a hotline called Call in Oats that only plays Hall & Oates songs for you when you call the phone number.
Call in Oats.
It's true. It's 719-266-2837. It actually plays Hall & Oates songs. It's quite hilarious.
That's like the old days of calling.
Yes, I did know that existed, actually.
I did not. I thought it was hilarious.
Well, if you knew it existed, why didn't you bring it up before?
Because I didn't know the number. I just heard rumors. Oh, the guy who Procol Harum singer died at 76. Gary Brooker. One of my favorite songs. He was the writer of Lighter Shade of Pale. I was kind of bummed about that because I love that song.
He was the writer for it?
That's what he was. One of the articles I read was that he was attributed either being the writer or co-writer.
Okay, I didn't know if Procol Harum had written it or if they were just the performer that I knew, but I fucking love that song.
There's a ton of
great song.
And I've never heard this is one of the case for me that I love the original, and anytime they get away from the piano in the background, the organ, it ruins it to me. That organ is the best part of that song. Yeah.
I have heard just straight piano versions of that song. They're really good, but to me, you can't beat that whole vibe you get from that pipe organ. I don't know if it was a pipe organ specifically, but that was a great sound.
Hey, died on the 19th.
I think I remember that was John Lennon's favorite song.
No, I kind of like that song a little bit less now.
What's your problem with John Lennon?
He was an asshole.
Who gives a shit?
I'm not a big Beatles fan, so that's kind of why. Honestly, I mean, they have songs I like, but if I had a best of album of the Beatles, I could be happy. I'm just never been a giant
Tiny
Beatles fan.
Tim has a song I like. That's not saying much.
Like I said, they have songs I like.
I'm going to write note to self. Contact attorney dropping Jonathan from... I'm sorry. Did I say this out loud?
Yeah.
That's it.
No, agreed. That's some heretic shit you just said.
Jeez,
right. Hey, I can tell you why. I know that they're amazing and revolutionary for the time. I've just never been a giant fan of them. Plus, they wrote Yellow Submarine, which is the worst song written to man next to Hansen's Mbop.
They also wrote everything the Beatles had ever written before they were all 30.
Huh?
So the amount of shit you've heard from the Beatles was all before they each turned 30 years old. They're like the most prolific writers of all time.
I would give that to Dolly Parton.
You're out of your effing mind.
But as far as writing credit, Dolly Parton will go down as one of the greatest songwriters in history.
I mean, hey, I Will Always Love You. You know what I mean? I'm constantly trying to let people know that she wrote that.
You will? You will always love me?
He's a masochist that way.
So, Rob, were you ever a big fan of the NBA at any point?
So I like watching basketball. And
were you a fan back in Michael Jordan's day?
No, not really. I've kind of gone in and out of with basketball a little bit, but.
So I'm just bringing this up because there was a record-breaking sale of one unused NBA ticket from 1984 for Michael Jordan's NBA debut. How much do you think that went for?
2.5.
I just go ahead, just break it to us.
Now, the guy put it up for sale and said he would accept $500 for it.
Okay.
The ticket sold for, I think, doing the quick math, 10,000 times that.
Okay. Well,
$468,000 is what he got for that ticket.
Okay. I mean, the question always is why.
Okay, you can't redeem the damn thing.
No.
It's past his due date.
You can't go back and see it, right?
It's the only surviving ticket, I thought.
Doesn't matter.
Yes, it's the only surviving unused ticket. It's a piece of freaking paper.
You know what? The amount of money that people...
no value.
You're right. The amount of money that people spend on sports stuff, whatever it may be. Yeah. It's just mind-boggling to a degree.
Is somebody who's a minor collector of...
Yeah, very minor.
Minor collector of memorabilia.
Memorabilia.
It's more, at least for me, in the stuff that I collect, it's more it's a snapshot in time.
If your wife knew you even spent $500 for that ticket, you would have been sleeping out with your dog.
No, I'd be moving back into the house, your house. But
we wouldn't let you either.
But it's
actually, you'd be selling that and buying yourself a new house.
That's right.
Ryan, you'd be getting another roommate. It's for me. It's a snapshot in time. It's stuff, but the stuff I collect.
But this is stupid money.
No, agreed.
And it always comes with the worst. It always comes with the worst answer of all time. Like, oh, what is this worth? As much as somebody will pay for it.
Exactly.
Like, that didn't answer my question. Yeah. Thank you. You suck.
So I got an answer I was looking for. So the Beatles wrote like a total of 229 songs.
Oh,
Dolly Parton has written nearly 800. Granted, she's had a career longer than the Beatles. But
what's your point? Just because you can write songs? I mean, I like Dolly, but
she has more hits.
She has more hits than the Beatles.
She's like the top number one. Yeah, I would not be surprised if she did.
I need a list,
John.
I need a list of this.
John, you should stop while you're still on the wheel.
I think it's too late. He's done. He's toast.
Now I'm just goofing off.
Yeah, but I just, I read things like this where this guy, sells these tickets for this. I mean, it just boggles my mind that people will do stupid shit like this. Like, what is this going to do for you?
Yeah, right. Exactly. I mean, come on.
I mean, the other guy, that was selling it, I don't blame him for selling it because it's just garbage, to him. He just had it. So, I mean, it just baffles me that somebody would want to spend that much money on something like that.
Yeah. So I suppose.
Being Michael Jordan, I would wonder what he would think about this. I'm sure the news reached him, but I just, I wonder what he really thinks about this. Like,
he's probably laughing. He's laughing to the bank every day, right?
I mean, look, how much less or more arbitrary is it than the sneakers that he would have wore during a championship game, or the rookie baseball card? It's all it's the fucking Goodwill Hunting line. Like, why don't we get together and eat a bunch of caramel?
Yeah.
It's just as arbitrary as drinking coffee. Like, it's all equally ridiculous if you actually think about it. And there's probably some piece of fucking Star Wars something or other. I mean, if I was stupid rich, the amount of money I'd probably pay to have like the original Luke Skywalker lightsaber, which technically would have been Anakin.
But that's something you can take out and beat the crap out of solicitors with.
Right. For sure. And the lucite case that I put that ticket in, I could beat somebody pretty hard with too. But it's all equally whatever. Like, if you look at it and you get some kind of feeling about it, it's the whole art thing, eye of the beholder. The cop out answer.
So I don't.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the guy, I can't think of his name right now, from basketball, when he's taking him on a tour of his house, and he shows him the bat. And he's got the players in their little cases, and they're there for a little while, and he's paying them an exorbitant amount of money to be there. It's like, what the fuck is the point of this? And who was the bat that he had? I'm trying to remember. It was some famous baseball player. You remember what I'm talking about, Ryan, from basketball?
It was Reggie Jackson.
No, it wasn't him. I don't think it was Reggie Jackson. I think Reggie Jackson was in the case.
I think this is where the old guy says this isn't Real Flicks Reviews.
That's all right. I mean, gotta cover this time with something.
I did want to say, far as collecting memorabilia, since I collect ancient Disney stuff, like, granted, I haven't even remotely spent what these guys spent on the ticket. It's kind of fun to have. However, if I spent that much money on a little Disney thing, I think I'd feel guilty about it.
Well, first of all, somebody spending that kind of money obviously has more stupid money to throw away than they do brains anyhow.
You could buy something that will be worth money in the future versus something that, I mean,
I don't disagree
they already own that.
Yeah, I mean, when you got people spending that kind of money on something as stupid as a ticket from whatever it was, but it's just because I mean, it'd be like, for those people, it's like you spending $10 to buy a Big Mac. I mean, right? It's just there's no legitimate, you can't relate to it.
Legitimate question. Will that actually be worth money in the future? Like, say, 50 years from now, will that be worth something?
Well, that's a good question.
Because but not all Babe Ruth stuff is worth money.
No, it's not. Partly it has to do with, signatures from Babe Ruth back then were, he signed all kinds of stuff, and there's lots and lots of stuff with his signature on it.
Yeah.
This ticket is probably more rare because who else has another one like it?
Only the people that were at the stadium, and how many of them exist because people just threw them away or whatever.
Right. Exactly. Nobody would have ever thought they would have been worth anything.
I guess I just don't get it.
True.
Well, look, that same guy who bought that ticket is going to look at the $300,000 lightsaber, or a $500,000 bidding on the hoverboard from Back to the Future, and think that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard of.
Right.
And by the way, I'm totally for it. If you've got the money to spend on ridiculous things, then go for it. I mean, the ratio that I spend on it versus he spends on it is definitely different.
Astronomical. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Like, I spent, the most expensive thing I bought was the frame for my Disney map. And I got threatened over it almost.
So here's the, since this is kind of a Ukrainian day for us here, here's the headline that caught my attention. Twisted Sister's Dee Snider reacts to Ukrainians using his song as the battle cry. As they attempt to fend off Russian forces, Ukrainians are finding determination and resolve with the help of a 1984 song by the American rock band, with lyrics such as, exactly, you don't know us and you don't belong, Twisted Sister classic, you're not going to take it. It's being used as the unofficial battle cry for them. How about that?
Oh, did you read further in the article where it says why he's okay with it?
No. Does he go on to say why?
Yeah, one of his relatives was Ukrainian, and
Yeah, his grandfather. His grandfather
came from there. And so I thought that was cool that he was, and there's a famous wrestler, Chris Jericho, said one of his, he's like half Ukrainian on his family and was totally supporting it. And so it's interesting to see the amount of people who are coming out and supporting this.
Hey, Dee Snider and I could be cousins.
I don't think he doesn't look good in drag either. So
quite a few removed, but yeah.
Hey, who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't see you digging Twisted Sister music, so I don't think you could.
Yeah, all right. I won't argue with you.
My favorite quote of Dee Snider's, he said he looked like Bette Midler and acid in his getup. I always thought that was funny.
Okay, John, it's getting close to that time.
No, we still have plenty of time to talk about the show.
I don't have any listicles for Melanie this week, unfortunately.
Sorry, Melanie. Rob dropped the ball.
I did.
No listicles. Yeah. You can make some up.
It's a busy week.
It's a busy week.
It was a busy week.
That's the excuse. A retiree. It's a busy
Monday.
week. Yeah.
Feels like a busy week. Second day of the week and I'm worn out. That's what happens when you retire. Do you want to keep
up to date on the maddest of the mad at the MadTrio podcast? Check out our social media feeds on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, or go to themadtrio.com. So anybody have anything else to round out the show?
The show is round?
Yes. Now go sit in a corner. So ladies and gentlemen, for the California Pariah, the fat man, the old guy, and Ryan Preston, as always, thank you for listening.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.